We are back here again talking about Vancouver Canucks center options. Last video, of course, we dove into Elias Pettersson and the idea that he could potentially get traded to the LA Kings. This time around, we're talking about Seattle and expanding more on the conversation that surrounds Shane Wright. We also have a bit of an update as to what it is Teddy Blueger could potentially go for on the NHL trade market. I'm not saying these guys are necessarily going to get traded for each other, although, hey, if that's possible, sign me up right now, man. Let's see Blueger for Wright, although, of course, that's not going to happen. However, we did have some new things coming out earlier this morning that talked about both of these players in the Vancouver beat, so I thought why not go out there and make a video diving into the scoop. So, Shane Wright, 22 years old, 6 feet, 198, right-handed center, signed on till the end of next season on his ELC. Former 4th overall pick, a guy that was supposed to go 1st overall back in 2022. But he slipped due to a variety of reasons that in which we have chronicled on this YouTube channel over the past 4 years, it seems. Wright this season is on a decline. He had scored 44 points in 79 games played last year. This year he has 20 points in 53 games, on pace for 31. He is in a worse position for a team that ended up acquiring Chandler Stevenson in the offseason to be one of their top 6 centers, which automatically pushed Wright down the depth chart. Behind Stevenson, behind Beniers, he isn't really being given the best opportunities right now with Seattle, and this is a guy whom we were all labeling as a franchise prospect. He's 22 years old now and hasn't shown off that skill of being a franchise caliber guy in the slightest, so you may have to wonder, is a change of scenery necessary? This is where we talk about what Sekeres and Price dove into with Matt Sekeres, Blake Price, and Frankie Corrado. They posted the clip on Twitter. It dives into what Shane Wright would cost. This is what Frank Corrado said about the acquisition cost. It would be worth taking. I don't want to call it a flyer because the guy was a really high pick, but it would be worth at least seeing what it's going to cost to acquire a player like Wright. For me, Shane Wright has always been, it's never been about foot speed. It's never been about super elite playmaking ability or even a lethal shot. It's always been about right up here. How smart are you, and how do you think your way around the game? Corrado said. And honestly, I think that's a pretty fair assessment as to the prospect profile of Shane Wright. Yes, it's true, he did have some really good qualities, like his wrist shot and his playmaking in earlier versions of his U16 career, but as he went into the OHL, the reason he succeeded was not because necessarily of his blistering foot speed like a Connor McDavid, or his crazy shot like an Arthur Kaliyev, for example. He was able to dominate because he was just so much smarter than everybody else on the ice. His hockey IQ was absolutely elite. And you can say it still is. The unfortunate part is, though, playing in the National Hockey League, there is no forgiveness. Everybody is fast, everybody is skilled, everybody can shoot, everybody can score. So when you don't have those qualities up to snuff, it becomes a lot more difficult to fully break out in the ways that we thought you would. And we have seen Shane Wright, Alexis Lafreniere, heck, even to an extent Kaapo Kakko, go through those same kinds of issues. Now that I think about it, let's see what Kaapo Kakko is up to with Seattle. How many points does he have? 19 points in 37 games played. Okay, that ain't really a good year, unfortunately. But at the very least, he is still going out there with a higher point per game number than Shane Wright. Oh, okay. Sorry, that was ill-timed. But Shane Wright, even though he is a young piece and he does have that high ceiling, I do question how likely it is the Seattle Kraken end up moving this guy. We already heard that they're interested in trading him, not because they are shopping him necessarily, but because they just want top 6 forward help back. This is a team that, by all accounts, they are trying their darndest to make the playoffs. not really too sure if it's going to work, but they want to make it happen. And they're young guys developing. I mean, I guess Matty Beniers is good, but even Beniers isn't as good as we thought he would be back when he was drafted second overall behind Owen Power. I do think that Matty Beniers maxes out as a 80-ish point caliber guy. I mean, he's had a bunch of seasons now. His rookie year was his best year. He is only on pace to eclipsing it this year, 4 years later. But ultimately, I do think that for Matty Beniers, he is a pretty good example as to how Seattle hasn't really developed these guys as well as we thought they could. And Shane Wright is another one of those guys that is going through the motions here. So if you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, you can let me know your thoughts as to whether or not Shane Wright could be or should be targeted by Vancouver. Now, let's shift gears over onto Teddy Blueger with the team right now. As we had mentioned in yesterday's video, he's 31 years old. His contract goes on till the end of this season. This isn't the same situation with Evander Kane. I've seen a lot of Canucks fans saying, hey, why are the Canucks playing Kane? They should just sit him. They should just make sure he's healthy, and then they trade him. Teddy Blueger is like the total opposite, because the guy missed out on so much time this year. He kind of needs to be able to play so he can demonstrate the value that he has. It's like the D in the dentist system. Demonstrate your value. And for the most part, that's what he's been doing. Look at all the goals that this guy has been scoring. He's been going out there as a goal-scoring machine. 3 goals in 5 games ever since returning to the Vancouver Canucks lineup. Then he's got this Olympic break coming where, spoiler alert, it's not going to be a break for him. He's playing for Latvia, and he'll be able to showcase himself off on the international stage. Maybe by the time the Olympics wraps up, if Teddy Blueger is still healthy, knock on wood, of course, he stays healthy, there will be a very good opportunity for the Canucks to flip him and to capitalize on his recently increased stock. He could potentially go out there and win himself another Stanley Cup. There was an article published on Canucks Army earlier this morning by David Quadrelli that dives into what Teddy Blueger could be worth. Teddy Blueger has 4 goals in his last 7 games. Artemi Panarin, 3 goals in his last 10. Blueger is also 4 years younger. You can tell me which player is worth giving up a first-round pick at the deadline for. Now, okay, yeah, that's definitely a joke, but still, if we scroll down and read what Quads goes out there and talks about, this is what he mentions about the Teddy Blueger trade price, I guess you could say. At the 2023 trade deadline, the Penguins flipped the pending UFA Blueger to the Vegas Golden Knights for a 3rd and a B/C level prospect. At the time, Blueger had put up 10 points through 45 games. Not exactly a heater of a season from that perspective, but of course, Vegas was acquiring Blueger to beef up their depth ahead of the playoffs, and even played him at wing. Blueger appeared in 6 of the Golden Knights' 22 playoff games as Vegas went on to win the Cup. The Canucks signed Blueger that offseason, and signed him again after finding a great first season with the Vancouver Canucks, but now he's a pending UFA, and the rebuilding team has to maximize their assets for their UFAs and veterans. Can the Canucks get a warm body and a 3rd-round pick for Blueger at the deadline, as the Penguins did? Maybe not, but they can get a 4th, and at the very least a 5th-round pick from a playoff team that's looking to improve their center depth. It's hard to believe that's not going to be possible. And honestly, I feel like that's kind of underselling Blueger a little bit, kind of discrediting the work that he has done the past few years in Vancouver. If you assume that Teddy Blueger now is better than the Teddy Blueger that existed before, I do think it's reasonable to expect a little bit more than just a 3rd and a middling prospect. I'm thinking about it like, hey, Kiefer Sherwood netted 2 seconds on a prospect. Teddy Blueger, at the very least, maybe 1 second I'd say is okay. But that's just me. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, whether or not you agree or disagree with this assessment, or you're more so of the Quadrelli assessment instead. Maybe it is a 4th or a 5th-round pick. Maybe it's not that high up there. If Teddy Blueger keeps on scoring goals and he's able to provide himself a ton of showcase at the Olympic Games, then maybe it is a 2nd-round pick. Who knows? But you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Vancouver Canucks potentially pursuing Shane Wright? And what are your thoughts on Teddy Blueger and his trade price? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.